Don't ruin your life. Don't make major decisions with limited information. This might seem to be obvious advice, but apparently it isn't, because people continually make life-altering decisions with insufficient information. Marriage is an area where this is often done, and consequently there are many upcoming advice items in this series on avoiding marriage mistakes. Financial investments is another such area. As a general rule, the main reason people make major decisions with limited information is because the decision they make is the one they want to make. They don't want any more information than they currently have because it might be contrary to the decision they prefer. But we'll set that aside for the moment and deal with some fundamentals regarding the advice, don't make major decisions with limited information. There are two main types of limited information that can lead to making bad or even life-ruining decisions. The first type of limited information can be summed up in the well-known truism, appearances can be deceiving. This information comes from your eyes, ears, or even your sense of touch. You may misinterpret something you see, hear, or feel that leads you to make a decision that harms you or someone else. Here's one of the most basic examples of making a major decision with limited information. The example is described generically, but it has occurred many times in real life. A police officer responds to a call that an intruder has broken into someone's home. The officer arrives on the scene, sees a man with a gun, and shoots him. But the man he shot was actually the homeowner defending his family, or a neighbor coming to help. Here, the officer used limited information, a quick sighting of a man with a gun, to make a major decision and shot an innocent person. A similar real-life example is a homeowner shooting a presumed burglar that turned out to be a family member unexpectedly doing something late at night. The second and most common type of limited information is biased information. Biased information may include deliberately misleading or outright false information. The biased information source could be a stranger, an acquaintance, a friend, a family member, a so-called news organization, a magazine or internet article, a religious, scientific, or medical person or organization, a government official or agency. All of these have produced biased or outright false information, some of which has resulted in lengthy periods of human misery, some in literally millions of deaths. All human-generated sources of information may contain, either unknowingly or deliberately, false or misleading data presented as facts. Why? Because all human beings are biased to either a smaller or larger degree depending on the subject. This bias is the result of how we process, categorize, and utilize information, which in turn is the result of the mental processes bequeathed by evolution to enhance our chances of personal advancement and/or simple survival. In other words, the tendency toward bias is hardwired into our brains. Daily life often forces us to make hundreds of minor decisions based on limited information. By minor decisions, I mean those that will not significantly affect our lives if they turn out to be bad or wrong. But you should never make a major decision based on limited information. Here's how you can lessen the chances of doing so. First, in situations where a major decision may have to be made quickly, remind yourself that your limited immediate sensory input and emotions, especially fear and panic, can provoke a wrong decision, and therefore prepare yourself and your plan of action accordingly. This applies to responding to an apparent home intruder, a hike in the woods, a boating excursion, a jog in the city, riding a motorcycle, any potentially dangerous situation where making a quick major decision may be necessary. In a situation where a major decision can be made slowly, remind yourself that any information you gather beforehand is very likely to be biased. An example is dealing with a health-related problem. If it's a problem that might be improved by different methods, a surgeon might recommend surgery. A chiropractor might recommend chiropractic. A non-specialist, some drug. A naturopathic healer, a natural therapy, and so on. These different treatment recommendations for the same health problem could be the result of a bias toward more income. But it could simply be that the healer is automatically and understandably viewing the subject through the narrow lens of his or her field of expertise. To counteract bias as much as possible when making a major but slow decision, you should 1. Force yourself to postpone any preferred decision you may have, suppressing it long enough to gather additional relevant information. 2. Gather information from sources that have opposing agendas or points of view. This tends to cancel out contradictory biases, leaving a residue of more neutral facts and opinions that can lead to making a better decision. Or it may result in no decision at all for the time being, which could be the best option. And 3. Verify any crucial information personally. Don't rely on anyone else to do the research. This third item will be addressed specifically in another video.